Is there a way to enjoy alcohol but still move forward on your optimization and longevity journey? Is that possible, or do you really need to cut it out completely? That's what I'm going to dissect today on this episode of One on One with Dr. Bajaj. But before moving forward, please go ahead and like, subscribe, and share this episode if you haven't yet. If you know anybody that can benefit from these small lifestyle tweaks that we discuss in our episodes and on our show, go ahead and send this to them. You could be giving somebody the information they're looking for to help them slightly change their lifestyle and keep them around longer and healthier for your quality of life experience as well. So let's go ahead and get into it.
Unlocking the secrets of longevity, anti-aging, and peak performance. Dive deep into the world of biohacking, explore groundbreaking medical advances, and uncover the keys to living your best life at any age. This is One on One with Dr. Bajaj, where science meets life and vitality knows no limits.
Alcohol has been around and been used socially for hundreds and hundreds of years. Attempts at making it illegal, such as prohibition, have failed miserably in the past. So the question really today is, can we use and enjoy alcohol and still move forward with getting optimized and improving your longevity? It's not such a simple answer, but let's talk more about this. Some of the negative things that have been associated with alcohol are very justified, and maybe a few of us can understand those feelings we've had when, man, we told ourselves we weren't going to have that extra drink. Now we missed our morning routine. Sometimes it gets in the way of your social interactions with loved ones. And what I think most importantly is the effect it can have on your own psychology, right? If you begin to self-negotiate with yourself because you've told yourself maybe you don't want to drink, you're not going to drink, and you do because that desire kind of overpowers you, which is normal and happens to all of us. You've now self-negotiated with yourself, right? So you might be knocking down your self-esteem and self-confidence just a little bit by doing that. There's also the risk of self-medicating. Alcohol is so easily available and widely available and relatively inexpensive. A lot of people begin to use it to self-medicate, like social anxiety or just anxiety in general. And look, sometimes, the reality is, like anything, if alcohol is used in excess, much greater than what anybody would ever consider to be appropriate or normal, you can get stuck. You can get stuck in your life, guys. So forget about the optimization part for just a second. You can get stuck in your life. How many of us can relate to the fact of kind of living the same story over and over when we drink alcohol, and ultimately the next day swearing it off or just losing that day, right? I think Alex Hormozy said something brilliant once about this. He said, you don't only lose the day that you're drinking the alcohol in excess, but you're also losing the next 1 or 2 days just to recover and get to that baseline level. But does this really mean we can't enjoy a good cocktail once in a while? Does this really mean it's so poisonous and powerful that we just can't enjoy whatever it is that alcohol brings out in us? Well, let's get into that. But before we do, I want to talk to you about alcohol. So here's the deal with alcohol, right? You should be aware, if you're not already, there are some potential benefits to alcohol. And I'm going to talk about that for sure later in this video. But I want to point out some of the maybe not so obvious negatives. And that can include this: it's very calorically dense. What does this mean? Well, alcohol has about 7 kilocalories per gram, and this is almost as much as fat, which is 9, and not quite as much, but significantly more than protein or carbohydrates at 4. As a matter of fact, it's almost double those values. So that means you're taking in a lot of calories when you're drinking, frankly, any type of alcohol. It also doesn't have any known nutritional value. Look, fat, protein, and carbohydrates have significant nutritional value. There's no question about that. They all exist for a purpose. Alcohol, to the best of our ability, really doesn't reflect any sort of nutritional value. Another issue with alcohol that you may not be aware of is it slows down fat oxidation because it takes priority over being oxidized in your liver. What does this really mean? Well, if you're drinking alcohol and eating a fatty food, for example, the alcohol takes priority. So your body tries to break down that alcohol first, thereby slowing down, delaying breaking down of that fat product. What this really means practically is you have a higher propensity to have stored fat because it doesn't get broken down in time, so it gets stored because your body's so distracted and busy breaking down the alcohol. Ultimately, this means you're going to increase your fat mass. You're just going to get fatter just by the sheer act of drinking alcohol on a regular basis. And everybody who drinks alcohol or who has drank alcohol in excess can relate to the fact that alcohol leads to mindless eating. How many times have you had a drink and you end up at that late night taco shop or getting a slice of pizza at that corner pizza place or ordering, food delivered to your house or whatever the case may be? Something you would never ever possibly do at 1 a.m. on a regular day if you weren't drinking alcohol. It's a lot of mindless eating, a lot of loss of inhibitions, right, when it comes to food. So we tend to like forget the fact that maybe we're on some sort of a calorie restricted diet, dietary restricted diet, time diet, whatever. And we just kind of like open the floodgates and we indulge deeply. And speaking of inhibitions, I think again, everybody can relate to the fact of alcohol being a disinhibiting agent. And not only does this lead to maybe poor food choices, but frankly, sometimes just poor and bad life decisions, right? That's a topic for another time, but just remember that disinhibition is potentially good, maybe because it like kind of lubricates the social joints, but when taken in excess, it becomes so disinhibited, maybe some bad life decisions are made along the way. I'm sure we can all relate to that to some degree. Alcohol also scientifically has a significant link to degenerative brain disease like Alzheimer's. So those who drink alcohol are putting themselves at a greater likelihood of developing Alzheimer's. Some of this is believed to be related to the negative sleep effects that alcohol has. Alcohol may cause you may feel like you go to sleep quicker, but it really messes with your internal deep sleep and REM sleep. So you're not getting restful, good quality sleep at all. A lot of that is really considered to be related to the degenerative brain disease. Alcohol also is a known carcinogen. There's a direct link between alcohol and cancer, straight up. It's been very tried and true and very studied, right? Before going deep down the rabbit hole of preaching about the negative effects of alcohol, I mean, what gives? People like to have a good drink once in a while. Everybody doesn't want to be a monk and not drink alcohol for the rest of their lives because of all these things, right? One may even be able to argue that sometimes having a drink here and there improves the quality of your life. So the years that you are living your life, you actually enjoy yourself, right? Listen, I think that's a fair argument. I would say there are some benefits to drinking alcohol, frankly. When drank in moderation, alcohol, when drank to moderate doses, you can actually have blood thinning effects from that alcohol, as well as improvement in endothelial function, which arguably could increase cardiovascular function and decrease risk. In addition, alcohol is probably the most used, most accepted, and frankly, most effective social lubricant. How many of us go into a new social situation, meeting a big group of people? We have that social anxiety and maybe a small drink here or there or a drink or two before going into it. You really kind of loosen up, you let loose a little bit, and you're able to be yourself more authentically. Sure, absolutely, that's the case, in my opinion. Absolutely, that's a potential social value point, not nutritional value point, but social value point or psychological value point. The problem with substances like alcohol and other neurotoxins is when it goes to excess, right? So drinking in excess, you tend to flip a lot of these benefits. That social lubrication to get you slightly disinhibited to get over your social anxiety now becomes massively disinhibited. And now you're the guy swinging off the chandelier, regretful the next day, right? That cardiovascular protective element of thinning your blood, as well as endothelial function, gets overridden to the point where now you're at increased cardiovascular risk. So this is really where the problem of alcohol comes into play. So what is excess or what is moderate? Well, moderate alcohol use and really what's considered to be kind of the upper limit of where any of us should consider drinking alcohol is no more than 7 drinks per week and no more than 2 drinks per day. That's really considered to be the moderate level. If you're drinking above that, maybe reconsider your intake and subscribe to more of these goals we've mentioned today. Now, listen, I'm not here to preach to you to not drink alcohol. I'm not here to suggest it is or is not a good choice. We're all different. Some people do great with a drink here and there, and they live very happy, long, successful lives. Some people, maybe not so much, right? Just remember this. It is a known neurotoxin. It will certainly slow down your process of optimization and longevity, but maybe that's not necessarily a bad thing. Maybe slowing down that process also allows you, in particular, to live a more full experience along this journey. I don't know. It's not for me to say. It's only for you to know. But if you feel like you're dealing with something like alcohol more often than you would like, just remember these major takeaway points, and maybe this will help you out. Number one, direct link to cancer. No question about it. Alcohol has a direct link to cancer. Number two, it decreases fat metabolism and fat oxidation, so you will get fatter if you drink on a regular, consistent basis at high levels. You will get fatter, regardless of anything else you're doing. And finally, number three, linked to neurodegenerative disease states like Alzheimer's, most likely due to sleep changes. Those are the three things that I think we don't necessarily talk about as much with alcohol, outside of the obvious disadvantages, but those three things might persuade you to move in one direction or the other. Now, guys, if you enjoyed this episode, very succinct, to the point, discussing alcohol, please like, subscribe, and share this episode. Everybody that you know probably has a drink of alcohol here or there. Send this episode to them. Maybe they will change the way that they consume alcohol. And guys, remember, the best time to start something was yesterday. The second best time is today. Don't look back tomorrow with regret. Take one small step today to get yourself maximally optimized. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of One on One with me, Dr. Bajaj. If you find any value in these episodes, any value in the show, please like and subscribe and share these episodes, specifically the ones you feel may help some of your friends and family.